it's going to take time to set up. It's going to take time to get right. There are going to be unscrupulous people in that system who might take your money and run away. And we've had cases in India, in Canada, where that has happened. But we have to believe that that has also happened for the good, and Allah will give us in some other way.
Yes.
You know, Allah always replaces with what you've lost with something better. We are flying the plane while building it.
Yes.
And we have seen now the Boeings and these big planes who've been flying for years, suddenly the door has gone off. So even they are not perfect.
Yes.
The Concorde flew for so many years and then suddenly it had to be grounded.
Yes.
You know, so you think Islamic finance is not perfect. Their system is not perfect at all.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shaista.
Walaikum salam. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, very good. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
So about 10 years ago, David Cameron spoke at the World Islamic Economic Forum in London and said he wanted to make the UK and London specifically the centre of Islamic finance for the West. How do you think that's worked out?
Initially, it worked out very well because 9/11 had just happened and US had categorically told the Middle East, we don't want your petrol dollars, don't come here and invest it. And then they had all the backstory going on, which everybody knows. So the Middle East needed somewhere to put their money, and London has always been one of their favorite places. So initially, the non-Muslims, I think I would say rightly, could see the idea of Islamic finance taking off very radically, very quickly, and they started working on a few big projects with the Middle East.
Yes.
And a lot of money exchanged hands, both for them, it helped them as well as it helped the UK. But as time went by, practitioners got more savvy. Scholars started understanding what is really happening in this field. And you have to remember, are competing with a 400-year-old banking system.
Yeah, so we're creating a new way of doing things inside a framework that's been established and competing with them that's been operational for 400 plus years.
Yes. So initially, they had to make do with very quick adjustments to the Islamic finance space in order for it to show that it could work and that it could produce results. As time has gone on, because research takes time.
Yeah, so for example, some of the changes they made at the time was stamp duty.
Yes.
So they've made changes to the way stamp duty works, so you're not paying it twice. So essentially, that was a major change in the way things work just to accommodate Islamic finance.
Exactly. And the government went out on two folds. They wanted financial inclusion as well as they were looking at the top tier of the market. They were looking at big investments coming into London, like the Battersea project.
Yes.
The Shard is built on a sukuk, and all these took off. So it gave Islamic finance validity. It gave Islamic finance that kind of push which it needed. But in the meantime as well, there had to be a lot of work at the ground level to start bringing people into the fold as well. And there I think, and the practitioners will tell you, the academics and the scholars will tell you, we have had a few hiccups. We haven't been able to do it as quickly as we wanted to. And people have not thought it through or understood the entire system which is at play, and have come to very quick and rash decisions wherein they have not supported this struggle. They haven't supported this kind of, which is going to take time, and they've pulled out. And if the government can see that your own people are not supporting you, then they are not going to support you. It's as simple as that.
So the mass populace haven't really got behind the products and the models. Why do you think there is this skepticism within the community, the Muslim community, about some of the Islamic finance products, methods and models that exist?
If you look at the conventional system, they've been running for 400 years and we still had the crisis in 2008. Okay, people still went through the system. We are a 40, 50 years industry, so young, and people are not willing to give each other the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, so just to give, sorry to interrupt, to give clarity to what you're saying is the Islamic finance as a concept is 1400 years old, but trying to create it within inside this system is in its infancy.
Absolutely. So to go back and remodel, Khadija radiyallahu anha was an international businesswoman of her time, 1450 years ago.
Yes.
She worked on the Mudaraba basis where Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was her Mudarib. The Prophet, and I will mention this, Mufti Faraz Azam has written a lovely book on prophetic economics and finance, and it is well worth a read. It's written in very plain English, and we as Muslims, where we accept that this is a way of life, there are 80 surahs in the Quran which talk about economics. The inheritance law which is mentioned in the Quran, Harvard has agreed that that is the best ever inheritance. When we have tawakkul on Allah and Allah knows after us who is going to benefit from whatever we leave behind, when we acknowledge the pillars of Islam, this is also part of our deen. And this is a very big part of our deen, because Allah is going to ask us, how did you earn your living and how did you spend your living?
Yes.
So as I was going back and I said, so the practitioners also got in this wave of Islamic finance becoming the crux, that they started dealing with these major projects. And in the last 10, 20 years, we have learned a lot. So now scholars, academicians and practitioners are coming to sit at the table and fine tune these products. And the plea to non-Muslims, Muslims is, we will get it right, but it will take some time to support us, to help us, to do your own research, because each one of us is good in something. Entrepreneurship is what is encouraged in Islam. You should be in a position, you are the shepherd of your family, the man or the woman, and you should be able to be the top hand, a giver rather than a receiver. Use your hands and use your mind to create something. And the concept of zakat is, when you give zakat to somebody, the intent should be that he should start growing in his business and be able to give zakat to someone else in the next year.
So when you're giving charity to somebody else, the intention is that person can stand on their feet to be able to give charity to somebody else.
Exactly. So we need, as a community, to get our priorities right. Education is a priority. In this country, we are very lucky to get our primary and secondary education free from the government. So you know how your child is. You know what your child's interests are. In Islam, and Hazrat Ali has said, you are bringing up your children in a different time. So these children have to be brought up differently. You don't live your dreams through your children. I am a lecturer at a university. The number of children I see who are unhappy, but they're going through listening to their parents unhappily.
They're fulfilling their parents' desires by choosing a certain course.
Yes, please don't do that. Allow your child to choose for himself. They will make mistakes, as all of us do, and you have to support them, and then choose education over anything else, because that is what is going to sustain and create a legacy and create the other generations.
Yes, that's something that can't be taken away from them. So, Sister, give us a bit of background to yourself in terms of what you do. You mentioned you're a lecturer at a university, so background and how you got to where you are.
Yes, it's a bit of a story. I'm the youngest of 5 siblings from India. I was born and brought up in Bangalore for my first 25 years. But I always, as a very young child, knew I wanted to be a teacher. I don't know how. And I had asthma. So my mother in those years, and she was not a very educated woman, but she knew that if she so I would make an excuse not to go to school every morning saying I'm not well. So she said, you have to come back and teach the servant's child, because she goes to a government school and you go to a convent school. So you have to go to school for her, not for yourself. And I took that so seriously that every day I went to school to study, to teach her that she's a doctor now in Bangalore. Anyway, so after I did my bachelor's in commerce, I wanted to become a chartered accountant, and I became a chartered accountant, first time, both exams and stuff like that. And I got a good job in Motorola in India. But I was about 25 then, and in the 90s, if you were not married, if you were a Muslim and not married at 25, then it's an issue. Anyway, so got married, and my husband is a heart surgeon, so we moved to the UK. And I always knew that his job is going to be very busy, so I took on the role of looking after the kids, took a 5-year career break, and retrained as a lecturer.
Okay.
And then I was given Islamic finance as a module, and I was really interested in that. I'm no scholar. I have not done a certification as per the thing, but I've been learning on the job, and I've picked up a lot about Islamic finance, and it is my passion and my legacy.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, I'd like to ask you for 2 things. Firstly, who's one person that could probably benefit from hearing this right now? Click that share button and get this video sent over to them so they can see this as well and also benefit from this information. Secondly, if you could click on that subscribe button, it really helps us probably more than you realize. What it does is allows us to get this message out to many, many more people that should also be seeing this and hearing this as well. And the great part is it's absolutely free, it doesn't cost you anything. So click on that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the podcast. So how long have you been involved in Islamic finance now, would you say?
It's almost 20 years.
Yes, yes. And so you also created the first UK degree on Islamic finance.
Yeah. So while I was teaching this course, I did realize that there are master's courses on Islamic finance which are too specialized, and you can't appreciate another way of thinking or another way of doing things unless you understand what the current status quo is. So I drafted the first ever accounting and Islamic finance course, which in the first year just taught you general accounting. Second year we had a 50-50, and then in the final year you had modules where you would specialize in a particular field.
Okay.
So the first cohort has just finished in July, and they've had a very good experience, and they are trying for jobs in the Islamic finance field. What I like about when we come back to the practicing point of Islamic finance is I always taught it as profit, loss, and risk sharing.
Yes.
But actually, if you look at it more from a slightly philosophical and tawakkul point of view of a stand, again, I'm quoting Mufti Faraz Adam. He says it's fadal or badal. There is no loss concept, because fadal is gain or benefit or something in this world. If you don't get it in this world, Allah has recorded it, and you get a badal in the other world. And I can't see any better reason to now seriously as a Muslim to think about every penny where we earn it from, that it is halal. And we kind of get it now, what is halal and haram, and we are now moving from halal to tayyib. But the spending part of it is also very important.
Yes.
Because it is not enough that you spend for extravagance, or you have to keep it, because our own sisters and brothers, we know in different parts of the world, are going through such difficult times.
Yes.
So if we are one family, then one brother cannot be eating mutton 3 times a day and one sister not getting any food.
Yes.
That just doesn't sit well. It doesn't sit well with us. It doesn't sit well with Allah Ta'ala. It doesn't sit well with Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who said that we are a body. If one part of us pains, the other part should feel the pain. So now is the time. It is going to be very difficult, but all of us have to try and cool the wrath of Allah Ta'ala and try and give up certain things. Make sure that we are doing things rightly. We are doing what we are saying. Be very careful what you say. You are being recorded in real time. You are going to be asked about it. All of us know these things. But sisters and brothers who are listening to this is the time to put it in action. This is the time to make sure that when you close your eyes, and we all know there are people at different ages who are suddenly losing their lives around us, to make this conscious effort to learn about Islamic finance, to learn what the real thing means. And there are different levels of learning. Like there is a GP, and there is a consultant, and there is a nurse, and each one has their areas. You can't expect the GP to go and operate on you. Just like that, you can learn the basic things, which I will run courses. We have a lot of information on the net, but again, somebody has to explain it to you to understand what it means, because it is complicated. It is not easy. And things you don't understand, before you just shoot off or write an email or send some message that this is, because people, you have influence on people, you leave some decisions to the scholars because they have worked on this, they have spent their lives researching this and come out with a system where, especially in the West, money is very sacred. For a non-Muslim, money is their God. So they will safeguard that money with whatever laws and whatever regulations they need. Most of the laws and regulations, even Islamic finance understands, is required because you're dealing with somebody else's money.
Yes.
That is a huge trust, that is a huge responsibility, and we have to work within those laws, work within that system. So you might not understand something, but please do not shake it off as, that is just conventional finance, written profit. They call interest profit. It is not as simple as that.
Yes.
There are a lot of people spending a lot of time and effort and their entire days trying to work and get something to work. And one flippant comment of yours makes, because the shaitan is there to take you away from this as much as possible. The more people who follow Islamic finance, inshallah, we have the potential, we've seen that it works, we have the potential to transform communities.
Inshallah.
Like how, mashallah, the Sahabis, well, if you read the stories, were one of the richest of their times, and they gave it all in the way of Allah. They came and gave their gardens of trees, of fruits, of everything. That Sahabi who gave his house, and he came to his wife and he said, I've given everything. And she said, okay, that's fine.
Yes.
We have to have that tawakkul because Allah will give you.
Yes.
Allah will give you. We have to start believing in what we are saying, not only say it as lip service.
So we seem to have gone through this evolution, or going through this evolution, should I say, where there was this small explosion of interest around how does Islamic finance work, how can it be facilitated, what growth can occur, and there's a huge demand. But the uptake doesn't seem to be there, and some of the things you've highlighted right now, and sometimes it could be a lack of understanding. And we also use a term as a wrapper, an Islamic finance wrapper around a traditional way of doing things. What do you think are some of the things that lead to the misunderstanding of how these things work? Or I guess my view on these things is, look, it may not be a perfect system. It might not be exactly the way maybe it should be, but it is much better than the alternative. So although it's not perfect, supporting that will enable some growth. Rather than retracting from it, say, no, that's not perfect, I want to wait till the perfect thing arrives. But how is a perfect going to get created if nobody's supporting it?
I would bring it down to lack of education, lack of awareness, and our marketing strategies were not great. Our customer service was not great. I had an argument with one of the bankers, an Islamic banker, saying, the concept of a bank is something I have a problem with, but we have to work within a system. And secondly, the community, if the community doesn't back us and support us, nobody else is going to support us. And thirdly, it is asset backed. You cannot, when your grandparents came to this country and there was no halal facility for meat and chicken and all that, what did they do? They worked out a system. Then they went and they set up shops with their own butchers.
Yes.
They found out an exact way of how to do it. But it did take time. And today, we, the children and the grandchildren, are benefiting from that system.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's going to take time to set up. It's going to take time to get right. There are going to be unscrupulous people in that system who might take your money and run away. And we've had cases in India, in Canada, where that has happened. But we have to believe that that has also happened for the good, and Allah will give us in some other way.
Yes.
Allah always replaces with what you've lost with something better. So see, these are the things which our parents have said again and again, but this is the time to put it in practice. This is the time to understand that 10 companies in the world are managing all the consumer products. Why isn't even one of that company from a Muslim?
Yes.
Because we have been sitting with small, ineffective, irrelevant matters and arguing about that, whereas the other people are seeing the bigger picture.
Yes.
It's our time now to see the bigger picture, to have faith, to trust another Muslim, and to trust people who are doing their job. And only if we support them, yes, some people might lose their money, but you know for a fact that you're going to get, that you might get something much more unexpected that you ever
Yes.
imagined. And you have to now, everything is there on the internet at the tip of the finger. Start looking at these things. You just have to follow a few podcasts or a few YouTube videos,
Yes.
as Bhai is doing, and Haris Irfan, Almir Kolan. These are some names. And you can reach, contact me on LinkedIn, and we can put you, and we have to set up these community spaces where youngsters can come, we can debate it, we can find it. I'll put up my hand and say, I don't know about this, I'll go research it and come back to you. All of us, like how you research, the girls research which makeup is better and which thing, and the boys research which cars go faster and think. This is now should be a research topic, and every family should have these discussions, just like how we have to, for my husband, I keep saying about transplant, have these conversations with your family about the will, about the inheritance. Finance and how it is to be used and how it should be now in everybody's talk, everyday talk. And we have to come away from this blaming that, no, they just think. Everybody is trying to do their best they can. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Expect for your brother and hope for your brother what you hope for yourself. And once we get to that place, inshallah, the education and the awareness and these little rough edges around will get smoothed out, and we'll be on our journey of Islamic finance.
So you've been educating people in terms of understanding of Islamic finance, and as you said, it's connecting it with understanding what the current system is and how it should be, so it evolves people's thinking. So what are many of your students progressing into? What are they aspiring to get involved in terms of from learning more about Islamic finance?
Most students, when they come to my Islamic finance class and I talk to them first about principles of Islamic finance, when I say we, the Islamic finance industry, we don't have a concept of a nameless company. This legal system where you can sue and be sued in your own name. In real life, that doesn't work. Rover's directors walked away with so much money, a bank closes, the directors walk away. That is not accountability.
So this system that we work within of limited liability structures is designed to protect a few. But actually, in Islamic finance model, there's no protection there. If you promise something, you have to deliver on that.
You have to deliver it. And it is a partnership-based model. Okay, so you have the money, I have the expertise. So we work together to get a product or a service which we can sell. And the beauty of Islamic finance is the seller should tell the buyer what the markup is. And that is such a beautiful concept, because if you were selling me this bottle of water and you say you bought it for 30 pence and you're selling it me at 50 pence, I said that's fine. That's acceptable level of profit. But if you say I bought it at 30 pence and I'm going to sell it to you for £3, I'm going to say either you think I'm stupid, so I'm not going to buy it. So it is that kind of transparency. Now the legal, the IFRS and all of them, the big accounting bodies are saying, we want transparency, we want this, we want that. But Islam has said that 1450 years ago.
The core principles.
The core principles of preserving life, wealth, property, lineage is all there. When my boss who came to me from Turkey and saw the slides, he just looked at it and said, these are the UN SDGs. That is the Maqasid.
Just explain a little bit what they saw.
They saw, preserving the fish in the water, preserving the trees, preserving all the UN sustainable developmental goals. And he looked at it, and that was actually the Maqasid they had put, which is our framework, which is what we have to do. Preserving lineage, preserving our wealth, preserving life, preserving faith. In wars, you are not supposed to attack temples, mosques and churches, places of worship. All this is in our deen is a complete deen. Just because it is our fault that we have not understood it and we have not implemented it, we cannot blame it on anybody else.
And the finance and money element doesn't sit inside a box. It's a part of life. And I like the analogy used about, 2 generations back when elders came, there was no halal food, chicken and such, and they had to create and be evolved to what it is today. So right now we are, when we go to eat, we think, oh, is that halal? Can we eat there? But actually we don't necessarily think about halal beyond halal chicken often.
Yeah.
Does it apply to other aspects of our life, to business, our behaviors and how we work?
Exactly. I come from a middle class family, and we used to wear each other's clothes as sisters. My mother used to say, if you get a new thing, which is, with 5 children, it was, if you get a new dress, you have to give away an old dress. Why are we becoming obsessed with consumption?
Yes.
The amount people are buying, and you have another part you can see on live stream. You have your entire family in another part of the world who has nothing to wear.
Yes.
So just because you have money, you can do everything with it. It doesn't work like that.
That's part of the test. How are you managing that money?
Your money has been given in trust, and these resources are the world's resources.
Yes.
This belongs to everybody. So you have to make sure that you have only as much as you need.
Yes.
Not as much as greedy. The shaitan will always tell you, oh, buy more. Why do you have to wear this? You don't need 365 dresses for the year.
Often the perception is you need a large amount of money to be able to get involved in property. Although that can be the case, it doesn't necessarily have to be. There are many, many different ways that you can make money from property. The biggest challenge is, though, that many of them can't be done in a Sharia compliant way. There are, however, still some strategies and techniques that can be used to make significant profits from property. I've put together a short training for you that explains how you can make money from property in a halal and Sharia compliant way. Head over to the link, which is sajhussain.com/halal, and you can get the free training there. Now let's jump back to the podcast.
Everyone needs to have a very good look. COVID was one of the eye openers where Allah said, I'm in control. A little virus can, set your world, decimate your world. But people still haven't, woken up. Now, again, He's given us a warning with what is going on in the Muslim world. So each one of us needs to look at and try and create something beautiful, whether it's a plant, whether it's oxygen, whether it's a thing, something which will be used by somebody and a legacy, rather than creating unnecessary things, demanding unnecessary things, and think where your money is going. A purse is a purse is a purse. Why is a labeled purse so expensive? I always used to wonder that. Now I know, because that money is going somewhere else. Okay, so all of us, now the responsibility is on all of us, because all of us will be asked, not only how did you earn your money, but how did you spend your money. We're
consumers, we're creators, and we have to think about how we fit into that process in the bigger picture, rather than isolation.
Exactly.
So we evolved hugely through Islamic finance in the early days that we talked about. There was this flurry of interest, and then it seemed to have plateaued, and it's almost we've taken a backward step.
Yes.
And things are starting to change a little bit now. What do you think has led to that?
Like I said, and you asked me where my students have gone, most of my students like to work with the Islamic social finance. They like to help others. They like to, work in Islamic relief, or they like to work in, we have a model in Pakistan called Akuwat. So if you have excess income and money is lying around and you don't need it for a time, find somebody, and there are a lot of people available. Instead of taking a student loan in your own family, sponsor people to finish their education. And Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, with 2 witnesses, you need to write down all your financial transactions. It doesn't have to go to a solicitor or a lawyer. You just write it on paper that I have given you so much money, and keep it, because that person doesn't want charity. He wants a loan. So keep it that I have given you so much on so and so date. Once you get a job, you will pay me back in so many installments, and have it written down.
Yes.
If, God forbid, something happens to him or he can't get a job, then Allah will reward you, because you will forgive that debt, and you get a house in pearls or something in Jannah, which, you would have said, you'll go there and you say, oh my God, I wish I had given more. people like this. So we know for a fact that the reward is intense. So think about giving sadaqah jariyah, but also think about giving your sadaqah in a way that somebody else benefits, and use it for education, use it for entrepreneurship, use it for setting somebody up with a legitimate business, which tomorrow they can go on, and that cycle starts perpetuating.
Yes.
So,
and sister, when I was looking to do this podcast series around Islamic finance, I really struggled to find many females that are in this space. Why do you think that's the case?
Alhamdulillah, there are females. Hussain, who is the director of Cambridge Islamic thing, he's a big proponent of getting Muslim women into it, and he has a magazine and stuff. We are very good at doing the work, but we don't like the spotlight so much. But I like the spotlight. I need to be a role model for my daughter, for others coming up. So I think it's a question of finding them. LinkedIn is a very good source, and I want to have more community meetings, more women doing things, more women, because we now are, even with the recent things that are happening in the city, we need to stand up now and show them that we contribute. Because we're not good at selling ourselves. So you want to be in the background and do it. We need to stand up and say, we contributed this, we made this, we created so much of impact. It's all about impact. It's all measured in impact. We do things in our own little way. We help our own neighbors and stuff, and we say, Allah ajar dega. Allah to ajar dega, but Allah also says, be a little smart and show the world that you have created some impact. So this is the time I would like whoever's listening to this podcast to start doing a little bit of research, to get back to us, so we can run courses, we can understand the basic tenets, and then we can create this ripple effect so that we have an impact, and the world, especially UK, realizes our impact.
Yes, I feel that we should be in a place where we're learning to understand the basic principles of Islamic finance, how they fit into the UK in terms of where we live. So we've got the legal system, we've got FCA as well. They all stipulate structures and systems and processes in terms of how money can be managed, pulled together, how finance, banking, all of this works. There are structures in place. So if we want to do something that's completely different, so for example, you mentioned banking, the idea of holding money, lending it out, charging interest on that, and that's the model. So when we say an Islamic bank, it does not make sense, because the idea of partnership doesn't exist within a bank. If you are buying a property, the bank doesn't come in with you as a partner. They lend you the money, and if you can't pay, well, they're going to repossess the house, and that's the framework that we have. So by understanding these principles, we can start exploring how can we create alternative ways to grow and flourish and build an economy that's based on the principles of Islamic finance. We seem to now have a mushrooming effect of fintechs, Islamic fintechs, which I'm really excited about, and I think it's important that we support as many of them as possible. Maybe some don't survive, but actually the fact that they're pushing the frontiers and creating these things and that we can get involved in means maybe a generation and 2 generations from now, things will be way, way further than they are now. What's your thoughts?
Back to our thing about eating halal, our grandparents could have said, okay, none of us eat halal anymore, all of us become vegetarians. That didn't happen, they found a way. Similarly with fintech, if it works, you can always say, I was part of the journey, I took part in that journey. And if it doesn't work, which inshallah it will work, because this is what Islamic finance was looking to and building to. And now the BRIC countries, that's Brazil, Russia, India and China, they are coming away from dealing with the dollar. So US is really, really very worried now at the moment. So if they do that, that is the ideal setup for us, because we want a currency which is not attached to any country, it is attached to an asset. We are talking about asset-backed.
Yes, because money isn't backed by assets anymore.
Money is not backed by asset. And we have to take into consideration the time value of money and the economic utility of money, and the way we react with money is different to where the world reacts with money. So we have a system in place, and now whatever regulations they are asking for, transparency, validity, relevance, all that is there in our system already. Those buzzwords are already in our system. And secondly, when we're talking about partnerships, they also are now realizing that this company structures don't work
Yes.
because the rich are getting richer and they are safer, and the person who gets stuck is the common man.
Yes.
Okay. So now that for the past 10, 20 years, basically, where we have proved Islamic finance worth in the bigger projects, the next step is going to be to try and get communities. Why is cooperative bank work so well? Why does what is insurance? What is halal insurance or what is that word? I can't get the word when I need it. Is that a group of people who have a need, like if all of us have cars, we decide that for 1 year, we are going to put aside £500 each. So if 10 people put it aside, it's £5,000. And we have one person who manages those funds. Supposing one of us has an accident, we find out the cheapest contract where it is available, that money goes to him, and the rest of the money at the end of the year is distributed back to the people.
Yes.
That is the way we do Islamic insurance, takaful it's called. When I went to Abu Dhabi a few months ago with 7 of my students, they had the first online insurance company. Now there, it's a 2-click way of doing insurance.
Okay.
Because the royal family and the UAE government, they have a ministry, they hold everybody's information.
Yes.
And this company has a direct deal with this ministry for the information.
Right.
So you go and you say, I want motor insurance. You put in your card number. It takes everything down from that Google system where all your system is. It can tell you, past 2-3 years, where you've traveled, how many times you've traveled, everything is automated. You have a policy in 2 minutes.
Yes. So it can assess your risk.
Assess your risk. And then it's not about a choice of having a black box and all. All that is fitted and you are thinking, okay. Because there people they are so obedient, law abiding. Now, when I went the week before that, they had the floods.
Okay.
So we met the CEO. He was telling us how he set up the system, because the Middle East is not countries which usually deal with insurance. They're just coming new into the market.
Yeah.
So he said, oh, the claims on these floods has been amazing. We'll go bust. We've just started the company and we pay these claims. We'll go bust. We have to now start working on these claims. And on the Friday morning, Sajbhai, he came in to talk to our students and he said, today there was a diktat from the royal family. All the flood claims have to be paid, no questions asked. He says, that's it.
Yes.
The whole team who I'd kept to go and investigate these claims have no work from today because I have to pay all these claims.
Yes.
So now
supported
for them,
by the
supported by the government.
Yes.
And
because they have the means to be able to do it. And so they're taking the responsibility to do it.
And they said they will reimburse the company for that. But, for all the things that might, according to our Western standards, this is not right and women are like that. And this is your standard.
Yes.
In their country, it works like that. And the royal family have taken their situation of the leaders of their members very seriously.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what it shows.
Yeah.
So there are 2 ways of looking at it. No? So you have to look at it positively. And that is the thing even with Islamic finance. Everybody is on the same page, trying to do the best in the given system. And we are not saying, and that is the end.
Yes.
We are constantly iterating the equation so we get to a better place.
Yes, as you said, we are trying to compete with a model that has been in existence for 400 years. And we are not trying to be a system like that. We're trying to create something that is suitable for us and our needs within that framework and that model.
Exactly.
And it may not be the same. So, for example, sometimes people talk about the rates that are set on Islamic mortgages, for example, and they say, oh, it's just they label it differently, but it's compared to an interest. Well, from a regulatory point of view, there has to be a comparison, and they have to do that. It doesn't mean it's calculated and done in the same way. The way it operates and the way it's set up is completely different. The cost structure and the way it runs is completely different. So you can't compare it with a different finance. If when people say to me, should I take the Islamic finance or the other one is cheaper? I say, well, look, if you were buying food and one was halal and one wasn't, and the non-halal one was cheaper, what decision would you make at that moment in time?
Exactly.
You wouldn't say, I'm going to take the non-halal one because it's cheaper. You would say, I'm going to take the halal one because that's my best option,
And that's
even
the
though
right
it's
thing
costing
to do.
more, costing me more. And I think there's slowly more evolution happening that we're going through right now. And I think you're doing amazing work by educating the younger generation, especially coming through university, and understanding. And many of these people, inshallah, will go on to be leaders in this space in the future as well, allow it to continue to evolve and flourish. And I do really feel we're at that mushrooming point where we all have a collective responsibility to support the growth of this sector.
Exactly. And I would just end with something a friend said. Unfortunately, he passed away as well a month ago. He said, we are flying the plane while building it.
Yes.
And we have seen now the Boeings and these big planes who've been flying for years, suddenly the door has gone off. So even they are not perfect.
Yes.
The Concorde flew for so many years and then suddenly it had to be grounded.
Yes.
You know, so you think Islamic finance is not perfect. Their system is not perfect at all.
Yes.
You know, they have lots.
Yes.
So please give Islamic finance a chance. Think before you speak or type on the keyboard and start doing your own research. Would be my best advice at this point of time.
You mentioned something earlier that stuck in my mind. You says, you know, all Islamic finance is ethical, but not all ethical finance is Islamic.
Because you could have, you know, gambling is legal in this country.
Yes.
Alcohol and everything else is legal in this country. So just because it's legal and ethical in a different types of things, that doesn't mean it's Islamic.
Yes. Yes.
You know, Islamic is, the prohibitions are very, very strict and we have to stick to that. And while trying to work with the system which is conducive to making this flourish, and inshallah it will flourish, because Allah has given barakah, and we've seen with the Prophet how Medina, even till today, you know, you want, when you go for Hajj, you do business in Medina and you can just see the difference it makes. Alhamdulillah.
This is so true. Jazakallah, sister, for your time, for spending your time with us and kind of sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakat in your efforts in terms of what you're doing as well. And firstly, what's the best way for people to connect with you if they want to reach out to you? What's your preferred method to?
First is LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, and I think all children and, you know, the young adults 18 should be on LinkedIn. It's a great place to network. I have a hashtag called BCU Islamic Finance, hashtag BCU Islamic Finance, because anything I see interesting, I put on that. So if you just go to that hashtag, you'll get a lot of information. Or you can email me on shaista.mukadam@bcu.ac.uk, because the university has requested me to run short courses on Islamic finance for the community. Again, we have to show impact to the community, and I hope and pray, inshallah, we can do good things and create a lot of jobs and a lot of good things for the coming generations, inshallah.
And we'll put that on the screen. We'll also link it in the description below as well. So just for clarity, it's Birmingham City University that you lecture in. And you're also trying to build a community around like-minded people in this space as well, which I think is a phenomenal thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your efforts there. And so you're always interested in having conversations. You're very open to speaking about this. So encourage people to reach out to you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah again once more.
Jazakallah.
Thank you.